These are US listings under consideration by Chinese technology companies, not firm commitments. They might not happen. But we do have some size and scope on what they try to raise. And it's interesting that some of them are data center infrastructure names as well, Henry.
Yeah, indeed. So we're seeing actually, despite all those trade tensions, we're seeing more Chinese companies actually more willing to list in the US in recent months. That's arguably after the recent DeepSeek's tech breakthrough in China and rising investor sentiment toward those Chinese tech companies. And it's not necessarily just tech. We mentioned the Smart Walnut, which is a firm that's specializing in coaching young kids of doing computer programming, and not just about infrastructure tech companies, software companies as well. And we've also just last week saw Chargy, which is a famous tea chain in China, also pursued US listing. And this deal is actually bigger, with $400 million being raised in an IPO price at the upper bound of the price range in the last week. So we can see that there actually has been a revival investor interest into Chinese names after DeepSeek's breakthrough.
How does the Chinese government feel about that, the tapping of liquidity in the United States?
Yeah, I think that's an important goal of Chinese companies, despite all those trade tensions between US and China. Protecting those private companies is one of the key goals of the government. That's actually a bit different from the things that we've been seeing over the past 2 years during the tech crackdown phase of the regulation crackdown. And so expecting more to come, actually. But one thing that we need to monitor closely is whether the US sanctions on those Chinese firms is on the rise.
Henry, Caro brought us the moves overnight in Hong Kong on JD and Mtoan. What's the story in the competition between those two?
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting one, because this has been the story that we've been tracked for past few months. But the tension, the escalation between the competition of those two Chinese tech companies is really on the rise in the past few days, because there have been several things over the weekend, including JD saying that it's planning to hire about 100,000 more delivery men in China. JD's founder, Richard Liu, appeared in a press story that he's delivering meal orders to clients by himself. JD signed a deal with Starbucks in China to deliver coffee for the coffee chain. And at the end, these two companies, JD and Mtoan, they were involved in a heated exchange on Chinese social media, with JD saying that Mtoan is forbidding its own drivers of delivering JD's orders, while Mtoan saying that it's actually not the case. So lots of developments recently, and competition is definitely on the rise in China's food delivery arena.